You mentioned content. I just came from Europe about a week and a half ago, and I spoke with a number of officials in the Department of Education, in particular in Spain, and they were referring to content as the, at least they were trying to make sure that content providers and access providers were aware that content was it was their primary concern, and that they should be addressing that. In fact, they acknowledged that a lot of youngsters, a lot of people, depend on the on cell phones, for instance, in Europe, to secure content and on a timely basis. And the new devices, mobile devices, will also require small screen type of content to be able to be displayed. I don't find in this country that we are making a lot of investment or addressing that issue effectively, not even in the education area. And in business, I think the Europeans are a little bit ahead of us also in coming out with this, in addressing content. In your study, do you find that to be the case, that we have to address that more? And what kind of recommendation would you make for this commission that we should focus on and address in terms of that issue?
I think if I can briefly just kind of distill that. One, that cell phones do provide a way to access, but people aren't registering to vote online or weighing in on political thoughts of the day with their cell phones. It's a proprietary system, and which goes back to this duality of an infrastructure, access to infrastructure and access to a device. Upload speeds in this country are grossly overpriced, and what you can do with upload speeds on a cell phone do not provide you the opportunity to meaningfully participate in a conversation about whether it's content, producing content, or scalable participation in an ongoing policy debate about broadband connectivity in the city. Additionally, young people and people of color and working class people, and particularly ethnic minority communities for whom English is not their first language, and we're also talking about people who have literacy issues, have relevant content that they are producing that is being circulated in their neighborhood. But they don't have the means to provide that content to a larger body of organizers and of people who are similarly situated. They don't have the means to exchange that information. That information is then kind of marginalized within larger debates and certainly subsumed within this whole issue of net neutrality, which I don't want to go into. But all of these issues are very tenuous. And so what might be some of my recommendations? How do you set up, how do you deeply subsidize the risk of this population? And that, I think, is the role of public policy. How do you address the unintended consequences of the decisions that you make that adversely affect marginalized communities as you define them or as you hear them and then seek to define them? I would suggest funding the risk up to a point where you would ensure that there is Wi-Fi connectivity, and when I say Wi-Fi, I mean ubiquitous broadband connectivity on the scale of what we see in Europe and on the scale of what we see in East Asia, I would certainly say. And issues of content will only come when we find when we find the need to encourage and provide positive incentives for corporate America to have a double bottom line other than just creating and rolling out proprietary devices according to their profit motives.
And I cannot think of a better or more thoughtful coda for this meeting today. Thank you, Mr. Wallace.